Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. My name is Dan. Yes, today is Mother's Day, so I want to wish all the moms out there happy Mother's Day. But if you haven't gotten your dinner plans ready for tonight's, I got a suggestion that could help you out.
Your favorite place is booked, you're definitely not alone. I always like to suggest an at-home brunch, and to make that even easier.
Just kept saying, let's make her more still. Make her more still. Don't blink. Can you do this scene and not blink?
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Do you ever feel like nothing's working, even when you're doing everything fine? For millions living with depression, that's exactly how it feels when standard treatments just don't help. Joining us today during Mental Health Month is Dr. Lisa Harding, a board-certified psychiatrist, along with Mark, an engineer who's lived with treatment-resistant depression for years. They're sharing what it really means to live with this condition and a treatment option that helped when nothing else did. Welcome to the show, Dr. Harding and Mark.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We're doing great.
All right, let's start with the basics. What are some of the signs of clinical depression and how common is it these days?
So there are about 21 million adults in the United States living with depression, and about a third of those have what's called treatment-resistant depression. Treatment-resistant depression refers to anyone that has tried and not responded to 2 or more antidepressants at adequate dose and duration. I'm really lucky to have partnered and worked with J&J over the years on this treatment. So it's a very good question. First, let's leave the diagnosis to the clinicians. But depression is really separated into major symptoms and minor symptoms. The major symptoms are the intuitive ones, the ones that have to do with low mood and sort of the inability to participate in everyday life. The minor ones are the ones that we don't think about. Depression can cause insomnia. Depression can cause your appetite to change. No appetite. It can cause weight gain. It can cause weight loss. It can also affect your ability to concentrate.
And for treatment-resistant depression, what is one of the options that is probably giving patients a little more hope?
So Spravato was FDA-approved in 2019 for treatment-resistant depression. And actually, more recently, it got the FDA approval to be used as monotherapy. And that means it can be used in combination with an oral antidepressant, or it can be used by itself. And a clinician can help a patient navigate making that decision, because the treatment is a controlled substance, so has to be done in what's called a REMS certified treatment center to monitor the patient for safety.
And Mark, you've been through this firsthand. Can you share what your journey with treatment-resistant depression has looked like?
Sure thing. First of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my story, and thanks to Johnson & Johnson for the same thing. With me, I've suffered from depression most of my adult life. I was diagnosed about a decade and a half ago. And the way depression manifests itself with me is not only is there a depressed mood, but it deprived me of the ability to feel joy, whether that's time with friends and family, social activities, hobbies, sporting events, whatever it may be. I could find no joy in doing those things that I once enjoyed doing. With that, it made life a chore rather than looking forward to tomorrow and maybe some things that I'm going to be doing next week or next month. I dreaded those things. I dreaded being around other people. I just wanted to be by myself and just hole up. I'm stubborn enough that I would go through the motions because I didn't want anybody to know I was depressed, which even compounded it because the people around me would treat me differently. So long story short, it was a tough way to live for many, many years.
So what was it like emotionally when you first heard that your depression may not respond to typical treatments?
It was difficult to deal with that assessment. Everybody wants to be well. Everybody wants to be quote unquote normal. It was difficult for me to not be a normal quote unquote person. It damaged my social relationships. It damaged my familial relationships, and it damaged my career somewhat. While I was able to push through and maintain some semblance of normality, my life suffered greatly because I could not find a solution for the depression.
I want to thank you too for joining me this morning, and Mark for sharing your story. If someone watching wants to learn more or find some help, where should they go for more information?
Definitely. They can go to Spravato.com. There can find the important safety information about the drug. But first, you have to be diagnosed by a clinician, and the clinician can determine whether or not this treatment is an appropriate treatment for you. On Spravato.com, you can find important safety information. You can find information about the clinical trials, and you can also put in your zip code and find a treatment center that's near you.
Dr. Harding, Mark, thank you too for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
When you're caring for someone you love, communication matters more than ever. But what if you're not actually hearing each other? A new survey from ASHA reveals how often caregivers and their loved ones struggle to connect, especially when speech or hearing issues are involved. Joining us today are two experts from the American Speech Language Hearing Association, Dr. Bernadette Mayfield-Clark and Dr. Tina McNamara. They're here to break down the barriers and help families communicate a little better. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's start with the big picture. How critical, I know this is kind of basic, is communication, or at least in the caregiver experience?
Great question. Human communication is a right. And as such, what we're finding from the poll that was just conducted is that the caregivers are finding challenges with communication with their care recipients. And it seems to be that the caregiver is talking to the care recipient. However, there's no response, or there is social emotional outbursts, or there's anger, not understanding that the care recipient may not have understood what was being said, or just did not hear what was being said. So you're looking at hearing loss versus cognition. In either case, it behooves the caregiver to seek the services of the audiologist and or the speech language pathologist. And we have those individuals available in your state, in your local area, on our website of asha.org, and that's ASHA.org. Or we could utilize the National Caregivers Hotline, which is 211, for additional resources, services, and products.
One thing the poll found was that the caregivers highly value the services of speech language pathologists and audiologists in these situations.
And if someone is we care about is having trouble hearing, what should we actually do?
Definitely seek services from a professional. It's really hard to understand your hearing loss until you have it tested. And once you have it tested, you'll be able to know exactly what areas, what frequencies, what pitch ranges you're having trouble hearing. Hearing loss is a significant health factor in the United States now, and hearing loss has very significant effects on individuals' social emotional well-being, which in turn affect their overall health, their ability to communicate with others. And so, it's extremely important, even if you suspect you have a hearing loss, to make sure that you get that hearing tested and that you receive those interventions.
And where is the best place for someone to go for resources and maybe more support?
In your local area, you want to look around at your health centers, your centers for aging, your centers for education. Again, the website, asha.org, or the national hotline, so that you can receive additional services. And as Dr. McNamara always says, look around and ask your neighbors, or ask for referrals from your physician. Any of those individuals should be able to assist you in that process.
And be a good neighbor and be a good friend. And if you know someone that's a caregiver, just offer to help them with simple daily tasks. Help them connect with those professionals. Sometimes they don't even know where to start. And, be encouraging and listen without judgment. Those kind of things can make a significant impact on caregivers, because caregivers have a lot of mental health strain that they deal with every day.
I want to thank you too for joining me this morning.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, your favorite brunch spot is booked for Mother's Day. Now what? DoorDash has you covered with delivery-friendly ideas, trending dishes, and even a few local gems that made the national brunch list. So joining us now is Kristen Milliner, consumer trends expert at DoorDash, with insider tips on how to impress mom, even if you're just ordering in. Welcome to the show, Kristen. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Mother's Day tends to sneak up on folks, including myself. If brunch reservations are gone, what are some other ways that you can still make it special for someone?
Yes, like you said, Mother's Day is almost here, if you can believe it. And if you don't want to lean into that classic brunch reservation scramble, or your favorite place is booked, you're definitely not alone. I always like to suggest an at-home brunch, and to make that even easier, DoorDash actually unveiled its list of the nation's 100 best brunch spots for Mother's Day. So it's easier than ever to create a memorable and tasty celebration without leaving the comfort of your home.
And you've seen the data. What brunch trends are taking off in 2025?
Yes. So my favorite one, and this is for everyone that has a sweet tooth, is that our data is actually showing bundt cake orders have increased over 7,000% from last year to this year. And if you're looking to send someone a special sweet treat, which should be mom, since Mother's Day is coming up, Nothing Bundt Cakes is actually offering $5 off of orders of $30 or more on DoorDash from May 5th through the 10th. So you can go ahead and order that.
And I've also heard about your Most Loved program. What is that, and how does a restaurant kind of make that list?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about our 100 top brunch spots list, kind of how that was determined and how it came to life, because what I really love about it is that it spotlights top local favorites that deliver delicious brunch right to your door so that mom can relax. So this list was created by sourcing the highest rated restaurants and reviews. So we looked at order trends on DoorDash from April of 2024 to March of this year. We focused on weekend breakfast orders, so Saturday and Sunday, because of course you're brunching on the weekend. And then some of these had some of the highest average customer ratings nationwide. So the result is really a list that has a delicious mix of options: acai bowls, bagels, breakfast sandwiches. There's kind of something perfect for whatever kind of brunch vibe you're planning for this Mother's Day.
All right, Kristen, if anybody wants to check out these top rated spots or maybe order something in, where can they go?
Yes, to see the full list and to learn more, they can go to about.doordash.com/news, or of course they can open the DoorDash app to order from a spot near them.
Thank you for joining me this morning, Kristen.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan.
Do you ever feel like your last vacation could have used more champagne and less schedule? Or maybe you just need a break where date night starts at brunch and somehow doesn't end. Well, it turns out it's actually a thing. Celebrity Cruises is turning up the romance with their latest ship, and today we're getting a look at how couples can cruise into love without really lifting a finger. Joining us live from Bimini, Bahamas is Damian de Lorenis, Celebrity Cruises Director of Entertainment Experience. Welcome to the show, Damian. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me on today.
All right, so what are some of the dreamiest destinations couples are loving right now?
Absolutely. So I'm probably in one right now. I'm standing on board Celebrity Beyond, which is a destination within itself. It's one of our incredible Edge-class ships. And we are docked today in Bimini in the Bahamas, enjoying some stunning Caribbean weather. I'm looking at turquoise water, white sand beaches. But this being an incredible ship that moves about the world with grace, can visit so many incredible romantic destinations. Those would include places like Cozumel, Mexico, like St. Thomas, St. Martin, beautiful Grand Cayman, Puerto Plata, and the Dominican Republic. And these are just naming some of them, but all of these will be visited by our brand new ship, the Celebrity Excel.
What sets this ship apart from some of the rest?
Yes, Celebrity Excel is our brand new ship. It launches in November of this year, 2025, and it will be launching from Port Everglades, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, visiting these destinations I've just mentioned, and we are taking date night to the next level, in which you can enjoy date night all day long on board our ship, with the most experiences available on any ship to date for our guests, including 32 food and beverage experiences with globally inspired cuisine, the largest footprint of entertainment and activities ever on board one of our Celebrity Cruises ships, as well as all the amazing wellness experiences featured on board.
And you've got this idea of date night all day long. What does that actually look like on board?
Well, one of the best features, and it's actually the reason I'm standing up here, because I'm up on the top of the ship with a stunning view, and we have a brand new restaurant concept which will debut on board Celebrity Excel It is called Bora. It is a Mediterranean restaurant, which is a great opportunity to enjoy a dinner with the stunning views and atmosphere of the outdoor restaurant, but it will also feature our first brunch experience ever at Celebrity Cruises. Not only will we feature some elevated and fresh takes on Mediterranean cuisine, also some great live music and entertainment indicative of the region to accompany this boozy brunch, which features its very own customizable Bloody Mary bar.
What is your best tip for someone who wants to surprise their partner during a cruise?
I think the surprise comes in some of the great programming that we have, in which, you know, maybe when you're visiting destinations for the first time, it's time to experience something brand new. And we have so many unique and curated programs on board for our guests to participate, some great ship experiences in which our guests might be able to maybe do a scotch tasting for the very first time, share a wine tasting together, a food and wine pairing, an immersive culinary class, which is hands-on, in which you can prepare regionally inspired cuisine, test out your skills in art with a beverage and art experience. There's so much to do on board that can sort of leave you experiencing something completely new and maybe take you by surprise.
And if someone's ready to book or just dreaming about it, where should they go?
For more information, the best way is to visit www.celebritycruises.com. That's our website, and you're going to find everything you'd need to know about our incredible ships, the incredible design of our ships, the destinations they sail to, and specifically all the information about our brand new ship, Celebrity Excel, including a current program that we have called the Dream Makers, in which you, our guests, can weigh in on the experiences that you'd love to see on board and make little decisions which will weigh into what you'll experience when you book Celebrity Excel for our inaugural season.
Thanks for joining us, Damian. It's National Physical Fitness and Sports Month, and we're clearing up the confusion around carbs. Yep, the good, the bad, the misunderstood. Turns out potatoes might be your MVP of your pantry. So joining me now is registered dietitian and sports nutrition expert Kelly Jones, here to bust some myths and share some recipes that'll fuel your body and brain. Welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you?
How are you, Dan? Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to talk about potatoes. They are an all-star food. They're delicious. They're affordable. They have nutrients that are going to help us power through our busy days, too.
And I believe it. I read Penn Jillette's book, and he started off by just changing his diet completely. And one of the foods that he chose just to switch to completely was potatoes. So
yeah.
He lost a ton of weight doing that. Let's start with the beginnings. Potatoes, they're actually good for you?
They are. There's so many misconceptions out there, one being that all carbs are the same, but they aren't created equal. Some are much more nutrient dense than others. So for example, a medium skin on potato, which counts as a vegetable, is going to give you potassium, a good source of potassium, 30% of your daily value of vitamin C, 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, these key nutrients. So we're not having empty calories here. Potatoes provide essential nutrients that are going to help us feel our best each day. And with that misconception, there's also this idea that you can feel optimally energized without any carbs. And people say that, well, they're also reaching for caffeine all the time. So remember to look to food for energy. And carbohydrates are the preferred and primary source of energy for your body and for your brain. So whether it is fitness or a workout that you're fueling, or if you have a long, busy day at work, having carbs can help you stay energized and mentally sharp too.
And a lot of people think carbs are the enemy. Why do you think that myth is so hard to shake?
It is hard. We hear it all the time. There's always these diet trends that cycle through, and low carb diets were popular years and years ago, and then they cycle back in. People just want something that seems quick and easy. And unfortunately, carbs are coming under fire. There's this idea that carbs cause weight gain and feelings of sluggishness, but we want to remember too much of any food or nutrient isn't great for our health. We do want to focus on is foods that are both energizing and help us feel full. And with potatoes, you get something called resistant starch. That resistant starch makes potatoes one of the most filling foods that you can eat. And this is especially true if you're having them as part of a balanced meal that also includes adequate protein and some fat. Those nutrients work together to stabilize your blood sugar, promote that feeling of fullness, and then sustain your energy throughout the day and in between meals.
And you've got some recipes today that they sound both like delicious and pretty doable. What are you loving for busy, active families?
Yes, I have a busy, active family myself, so I'm all about quick and easy, under 30-minute meals. One way that you can speed things up with potatoes is to buy them frozen. So for a hash brown bowl that gives kind of breakfast for dinner vibes that my kids always love, you can pop some hash browns from the freezer into your air fryer while you saute up some vegetables. And then to that, you add some easy protein. So eggs are super simple. So are black beans, any canned beans in there. And then just add some flavor, sauce, little pop of color with cilantro. I let my kids build their own bowls so that they have a little control over what they're topping their favorite vegetable with there. And then you can microwave potatoes too, like I have in this turkey potato wrap over here. So this is a 1 skillet meal, minimal cleanup. You pop your potatoes in the microwave while you've got turkey on the skillet. Finish the potatoes with the turkey, maybe some extra veggies. Throw it all in a wrap and you've got an easy dinner, whether at home or on the go. And you can actually make these ahead and freeze so that you can heat them up in just a few minutes when you've got a really tight schedule during the week.
Kelly Jones, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can our viewers go for more tips, maybe recipes, and get more information?
Yeah, for the tips, these recipes and more, go to potatogoodness.com/carbs.
Kelly Jones, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
More than 50 million Americans live with arthritis, and for a lot of them, everyday movement can feel like a major hurdle. The Arthritis Awareness Month has taken over, and we're taking a little closer look at options beyond the pill bottle. So joining us today is Steve Knauf, a chiropractor and VP at the Joint Chiropractic, to talk about natural ways to manage arthritis pain and get people moving again. Welcome, Dr. Knauf. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right, there's so many types of arthritis. Can you walk us through some of the most common ones and what tends to cause them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually over 100 different types of arthritis out there, but there are two main common forms that exist. The first is called osteoarthritis, and this is really the version that a lot of people think of when they hear the term arthritis. This is where your joints just degenerate over time. They wear down because of injury, prolonged abuse, physical stress, overuse. Athletes get a lot of osteoarthritis just because of all the physical stress that they endure. The other form of arthritis that's very common is called rheumatoid arthritis. And while this also breaks down joints over time, it does it through a totally different way. What actually happens with rheumatoid arthritis is it's actually your own body that's attacking your joints using inflammation to destroy the joints over time through what's called an autoimmune process that's occurring.
And a lot of folks tend to turn to medication right away, but you focus on a different approach. How can chiropractic care help?
Chiropractic care ultimately really focuses on maintaining the overall joint, health of our joints. The way that we do this is make sure that the joint is properly aligned. Sometimes they get stuck out of place, and make sure that it's also moving as well as it can. Over time, this makes sure that your joints are able to handle all the stress and things that you might put on them over time, preventing further degeneration. Additionally, when your joints are moving really well, they start to act like a pump, and it can pump out inflammation and all the gunk that can build up around your joints that destroy all the tissues and muscles in that area. So again, chiropractic, we want to keep the joints healthy through movement is really the key.
What are some simple tips that people could try to do to try to ease that arthritis pain at home?
For many of our patients, we recommend a couple of things. One, stay active. And we're not asking them to go to the gym and throw around a ton of weights. That can actually make some arthritic symptoms worse. But what we mean when we say stay active, it's finding those low impact ways to move our body. That can just be going out for a walk. It can be light stretching. It can be swimming or biking. The point is you want to keep your joints moving. Otherwise, it tends to just get worse. The other thing that we tell our patients to focus on is their diet and the nutrition. I think we've all heard the terms anti-inflammatory and inflammatory foods. Some of the inflammatory foods that you want to stay away from are things that are high in sugar, things that are overly processed, and alcohol. That can flare up symptoms, especially for people that have rheumatoid arthritis. You want to avoid some of those things. And then the last two tips and tricks that we typically talk about aren't mind-blowing, but a lot of people just don't find time to do it. One is get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That is a really important time when your body is healing and repairing itself. And a lot of us are not even getting close to the amount of sleep that we need. And the final piece is just finding ways to manage stress, mental, physical stress. People just don't realize how much of an impact that has on our overall health. It contributes to heart disease, gut health and disease, and some worsening of these arthritic symptoms. So finding ways to improve sleep, manage your stress, also really important.
And if somebody wants to learn more, maybe find some care near them, where should they go?
For more information, it's very easy. You can visit thejoint.com.
Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Ever wonder what it would look like if your favorite assassin showed up to a missing persons case with zero fear, a leather jacket, and enough charm to make you forget she's, well, lethal? You might know her from Cowboy Bebop, Jurassic World, or The Detour, but in The Accountant 2, Daniella Pineda is stepping into a whole new world of secrets, strategy, and survival. Welcome to the show, Daniella. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, it looks like you open up the film with a bang, literally. In that tavern scene with J.K. Simmons, how did you tap into Nias's cold confidence from the start?
You know, it was something that I found in the audition process. I read the sides, which are like the scene they give you for the audition, and I didn't know anything about it. They don't tell you anything. I mean, you don't know anything until like 2 weeks after you've booked the part. Like, I got access to the script, so I really was in the dark. But I made an educated guess that this was someone who was a little scary and supposed to be intimidating. And so when I was auditioning, I worked with this guy named Tyler Rice, and he just kept saying, let's make her more still. Make her more still. Don't blink. Can you do this scene and not blink? And I was just like, holy, this is so different for me. Because everything I've done before has been kind of animated or silly or, you know, whatnot. So this was like a major, major departure from that. Yeah, it was basically a good character study on how to be scary, which is not a lot of movement.
All right, and there's also like this line in the notes about Nias being relaxed and chill, even in chaos. Was that fun to play, or was it like trying to, really difficult to find the balance of being calm and also a psycho killer?
Oh, it was really fun. It was super fun. Actually, while I was shooting that scene, I was reading this book just totally by chance called Sociopath, a memoir, which I recommend to everybody. It was absolutely fascinating and also like very educational about people who have, you know, that disorder or that diagnosis. But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating, not to say I condone bad behavior. You know, I'm a huge empath and a cuddle bug, but it was kind of liberating and fun.
And there's also a huge undercurrent of mystery for your character. Without spoiling anything, I know a lot unfolds throughout the film, but what should audiences be watching for her in this storyline?
I think they should just be watching her and paying attention. This is also a movie I want to say is not something you go and watch at home. I mean, yes, it will be available streaming at home, but it really is meant for the theater. Like, you can't be on your phone playing Tetris and then half watching the movie because you're going to miss it. So this is definitely a pay attention type film. But I would just say watch her because you're probably going to see her again.
I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You got to check out The Accountant 2. It's in theaters now. Thanks for joining me, Daniella.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for the Mother's Day edition of Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and wish all the moms out there happy Mother's Day. Find us on our website, riseandwindtv.com. Follow us on YouTube. And until next week, that was that show we like to call Rise and Unwind.